Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough.
We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America.
The soul of America? Well, dear God, I hope not. Oh, no, wait. Turns out that's bullcrap. Well, that's good for the rest of us. It's time for Claim Truth. So, going on to Chicago. If you were to hear the media tell you, Donald Trump is shredding and wiping his posterior with the Constitution if he sends the Guard into Chicago. They're arguing that D.C. is, obviously under the federal authority, but Chicago is not, which is interesting because when Donald Trump did it with D.C. and we saw record low crime, they said that it was fascist back then. But now, we get D.C., but you didn't back then. But now Chicago is a step too far. Well, here's the thing. It would be for very different reasons. So after D.C., President Trump said, I believe this weekend, that Chicago is next on his list to fix up.
After we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next.
Lovely, beautiful African-American ladies. Big butts, lovely butts. Love their butts. You love their butts too, right, JD? He likes butts.
My guys.
So the mayor of Chicago responded with something about tyranny, fascism, what they do.
Look, we're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action.
Have the right.
But the people in this city
Corbin
are
Blue doing it
accustomed
just
to
for a minute.
rising up against tyranny. The city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
The soul of America? Well, dear God, I hope not. Oh, no, wait. Turns out that's bullcrap. Well, that's good for the rest of us. It's time for Claim Truth. As always, every reference link available in the description of this show and video. And if you want to follow me, best place to do it is download the Rumble app. Download the Rumble app. Yeah. Follow this channel. We're live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, but sometimes we do special streams. You'll be notified. Do not be waiting on a social algorithm from Meta or from Alphabet over there at Google or YouTube. So let's go to the first claim. And they made this claim with D.C., but now they're saying it's different from D.C. Okay, fine. Let's go with that. President Trump actually has no authority to do this.
What he is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation. That's not what we need. In fact, we've been very clear about what we need. We need to invest in people to ensure that we can build safe and affordable communities. That's what I've done as mayor since assuming office.
Hold on, pause. This is what they always do, right? No, if they just had more Section 8 and an after-school basketball program, the record murder wouldn't be a problem. That's all you need. You just need a rec center. Keep playing.
That this president is working overtime to divide and in his attempt to conquer working families and to conquer cities across America. But this is clearly a violation of the Constitution, and we're going to remain firm and vigilant in our commitment to ensure that our democracy is protected and our humanity is secured.
So before I even get to the truth, just remember, I've always told you this. Whenever the left invokes the Constitution, you know they're lying to you. There are very few pieces of paper on earth they hate more than the original Constitution. Here's the truth. It's actually completely unconstitutional to defy federal policy by claiming to be a sanctuary city. That is actually unconstitutional because it's a matter of national security and you're putting your citizens at risk. But here's another truth, is that President Trump does have the authority to deploy the National Guard. Per Title 10 of federal law, the president shall take such measures as he considers necessary to suppress in a state any domestic violence, if it so hinders the execution of the laws of that state, that any part or class of its people is deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution, and the constituted authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right. So the president can technically do this over any state objection, but I think there would be a very valid case to be made if you declare yourself a sanctuary city after 20 million illegal aliens have either crossed the border or overstayed their visas, making it the number one issue in an election and the reason that this man was given a mandate as president. Right? I think, in other words, hey, would people saying we need to do something about immigration, right? It's affecting all of us. And then Chicago being a sanctuary city, would that qualify as any part or class of its people being deprived of a right, privilege, immunity, or protection named in the Constitution? Or would the authorities of that state be considered unable to have failed or refused to protect that right, of legal citizens, to not foot the bill to the tune of $150 to $450 billion a year? That's what it costs the taxpayers, illegal aliens. Not to mention rampant crime. Not to mention competing for jobs with third world labor. Yeah, there's a reason that it's federal policy. There's a reason Donald Trump was elected. And Chicago has said, no. Because in the name of democracy, as a mayor, I'm going to determine that your number one voting issue doesn't matter. Sanctuary city.
100%.
All right, there we go.
That one seems pretty cut and dry to me.
Here's the next claim, and this one's really easy to refute because the left can't help themselves. They say, violent crime is actually down in Chicago.
Here's what we're doing in Chicago. The fact of the matter is violent crime is actually down in Chicago. We've reduced homicides by almost 32%. Shootings and shooting victims, we've reduced that by nearly 40%. Robberies are down 35%. There's certainly more work to be done, but
Wrong.
We are moving towards building the safest, most affordable big city in America. And what the Trump administration is attempting to do is to roll back the hands of time and take us to a time period in which we know from the civil rights era where Dr. King described this type of act as one of the three evils.
Well, here's the thing. Here's where we agree. He does want to take you back in time, but not to pre-civil rights, which, by the way, was largely passed by Republicans. Because here's the truth. President Trump and your citizens want to take you back to a magical time of pre-COVID, where the violent crime rates weren't astronomically high, because the violent crime rate is still up from pre-COVID levels. Rape is up, robbery is up, assault is up. Just to be clear, he's citing year-over-year numbers, which you can do anywhere because we saw such a spike in crime, right? That's the trick they pull. Go check the references. Other crimes, by the way, are still up even after COVID. So they spiked to 2021. In most places, they came back down. But these crimes are still up since post-COVID records. Misdemeanor theft up 67% since 2021. Felony theft up 46%.
Wow.
Vehicle theft up 75%. And that's after a hockey stick graph of it going up in 2020. And some Chicago police officers, by the way, have been getting creative. They have to. They found new ways to lower crime in the Windy City. Oh,
Hey, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yes, you did that, by the way. Now, look, we've talked about the crime numbers. People will say, where's the level of acceptability?
Right.
That's the argument here right now. And I think that's a vital conversation. We had it a lot with DC because their numbers were so high. We'll get to it in just a second with the murder numbers. They're even worse than this. When is enough enough? When has the state failed or refuses to protect the liberties that I as a citizen have?
Right.
That's a good conversation to have. And I would say that those numbers are high enough right now to at least go, well, it seems like it's getting close.
Yeah.
It seems like at the very least it's getting close.
Well, the violent crime is still very high in Chicago, and it's exacerbated by the fact that you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because the gun policies in Chicago.
That must mean the gun crimes are down, right?
No.
Right, you would think. No, don't you remember that Barack Obama blamed it on Indiana? Even though Indiana didn't see the crime that Illinois does and Chicago does, he blamed all of the gun crime in Chicago on Indiana. And you can go watch that video where I went to the gun show in Indiana. Was it Crown Heights? I don't know. You guys can remember. You guys can go find it. And I tried to use that old gun show loophole. Turns out it's not a thing either.
Didn't work. Didn't they get rid of that? What was that called? ShotSpotter? Whatever that technology was to be able to actually pinpoint where a gunshot came from to make sure that you can send not only police, but maybe the ambulance.
They said they were
service
going to. They
paramedics.
said they were going to drop their contract, but then they wanted to keep it for when the DNC was in Chicago. I'm not sure what.
They
I don't
end
think we
up
followed
getting
up
rid of
on
that?
it, but I don't know if they actually got rid of it.
Do you really care about crime if you're getting rid of like the best technology I've ever heard of?
I would consider that investing in people.
Right.
Wouldn't you? That's what he said he's doing, investing in people.
People not being
Which really just
killed.
means hiring more administrators and paying them salaries they don't deserve to do nothing all day.
Okay,
Right.
well that I guess that works too.
Well, that brings us to the next claim because we're talking about murder. Their claim is like, okay, all right, but at least murder is down in Chicago. Well, there's something called the bell curve. So, Chicago, by the way, throws off the curve for everybody because the truth is that Chicago is the big city murder capital of the United States.
Yay!
Okay, their murder rate is 5 times that of New York or LA, which, by the way,
That's hard.
it's not that great in New York or LA. So in 2024, they had 21.5 murders per 100,000 residents.
Jeez.
21.5 per one. That's 5 times New York or LA. 2025, Chicago has had more murders than any other major city. Let me give you the number. You can go check these out in the references. 189 murders in the first half of 2025. That's more than one a day. That's 1.07 per day. And I guarantee you, by the way, they're underreporting this. That always happens in cities where they have rampant crime. We saw that in Detroit. I covered it a long time ago. Compare that to Dallas, a big city that has some crime. 66 murders in the first half of the year. So that's 0.36 per day. Almost 3 times just in the first half of the year, Chicago, compared to Dallas.
Wow.
Their most dangerous neighborhood, by the way, I'm just throwing these out, is a neighborhood known as Austin. It's 74% black, 19% Hispanic, and 4% white. You kind of see an inverse correlation if you go to the neighborhoods that are majority white. Now, it's not
the
because
Asians
of
doing all the crimes.
Yes, it must be. It's not because of the melanin. It's because of the enabling in Chicago. You hear their solutions. We just need more affordable housing. Oh, okay. Let's follow that logic. So if you go to affordable housing units, if you go to Section 8 housing, there's no crime, right? As safe as in your mother's arms? Oh. Well, if we just had more after-school programs. Oh, okay. So inner-city after-school programs. There's no crime there, right? Everyone straightens up and flies right? Especially when it's government-run? Oh, that's where you're more likely to be the victim of crime. So it's almost like throwing more money at the problem, kind of like we've seen with the Department of Education, or insert any other government bureaucracy here, hasn't made it better, it's made it worse. It's almost like if you give people, for example, government assistance for food, and instead of it being a ration, instead of it being something that gives you a leg up so you can, start flying on your own, if you allow them to purchase soda and pies and ring dings because there are no conditions with this help, people just continue to drink soda and eat pies and ring dings. And that's how you end up with the obesity epidemic in affordable housing. Think about that for a second. You want to know how this policy has failed? Go to poor neighborhoods, go to affordable housing, right? Government subsidized housing, where people are purchasing their food using government subsidies, whether it's SNAP, EBT, and you have a higher obesity rate. This is the first time in human history that poor people are dying from fatness and not starvation. That means we created the problem.
I don't want to get you admonished here, but I was told by a reliable source, in fact, a congressman, that actually the health problems were because of the stress created by the N-word.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
I don't think it's the SNAP EBT thing at all.
I'm not able to corroborate it, so I can't refute it because it's the kind of bullshit that is, it defies all logic and reason.
Yes, but you can be a congressman or former congresman and say it on national television.
Yeah.
What was the word, Gerald? Nutrition?
I'm not
Yes.
sure. It's yes. Well,
Nutrition.
Yes. Is that what it was?
Okay.
I think it was nutrition. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. There are still, and this shows you there are still some residents in Chicago who would pick crime over Trump. Why? Because, well, you give up freedom for comfort, right? You give up freedom for government assistance, for government housing. That's why these people are very easy to control. That's why they're a voting base for the Democrat Party. And I've been really clear about this. Look, when they say the Republicans are the party of the rich, and now the Republicans are the party of the working class, what they really mean, and this has not changed that much, the working class in this country, meaning lower middle class, but if they work and pay any taxes, to wealthy upper middle class, those people vote Republican conservative. The ultra wealthy billionaires, too big to fail, the Googles of the world, the CEOs of Google, of Meta, the Bezos of the world, Elon Musk for his entire life up until recently, they vote Democrat. The people who've never paid taxes, who suckle at the government teat, they vote Democrat. These are very stark trends. They're very easy to notice. The numbers are extreme. And you look at that middle section, whether someone is paying $400 in income tax or $40,000 in income tax, if they're paying income tax and they are working, they are likely to be voting Republican. Let's stop with these identity politics, poor, rich. No. It's everyone who contributes and wants to be able to keep what they've earned, they vote Republican. They vote conservative. People who don't contribute and people who want to turn you into a serf, the oligarchs, those are the groups that vote Democrat. And of course, liberal white women. So some people here pick crime over Donald Trump. This actually comes from someone on X. Jill Simonello wrote, "Dear Donald Trump, I've been carjacked in Chicago with my arm broken. I still don't want you or your troops here. TIA, BTW, there are no red hats here." Okay. First off, I heard that there were at least 2 from Jussie Smollett.
That's true. I thought it was MAGA country.
Yes, those African MAGA
They
trainers.
bleached me.
But this is someone who, again, this is the problem with suburban, liberal, or urban white women. It's, I speak for everyone. There are no red hats here. Well, I get it. It's Chicago. It leans left. I understand the unions have a stranglehold, but there are some red hats there. There are some people who would like to not be mugged, carjacked. There are some people who would like to see crime reduced. Just not the people who are pandered to. Like with Disney, the Democrat Party. They love their crime in Chicago, people like this. People like this are so proud, and they're often on the city councils. They're so proud of being the murder capital of the United States that they actually built a statue to commemorate it. Yeah, they're proud of that.
Jeez.
So,
Reflection of life.
and let me ask you this, and we're, by the way, if you are not a Rumble Premium member, we're going to continue. We have some videos that, some of them are kind of graphic because they involve violence, but a lot of you have asked us to cover it. Click that button right there. You get to continue with us. We'll take your chats and 100% more show. It's $99 a year. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug. You get everything ad-free. You get the Friday show, and none of this happens if you don't sign up and support. We're actually funded by viewers like you. Try it for $9.99 a month if you want to. That helps us out too. Here's where we come to here. At a certain point, you look at Chicago has been run by leftist mayors for a very, very long time. Okay, and far left policy. Same thing with Detroit. This lady is saying more of that. Since 1960, whatever the numbers in Chicago, I know it's 1960 is the last time there was anyone who was anything other than a radical leftist in charge of Detroit. Chicago is probably similar. You've had your way. Has any of this made your life better? Has any of this made your city better? You can blame some circumstances. You know, on the Reconstruction era, okay, you can go back to Jim Crow, and I understand that, and pre-civil, okay. But now you have been in charge, meaning the left has been in charge, largely unfettered. There has been no federalizing the police force, and that's not what's been happening in Chicago. So right now, 2025 in Chicago, murder capital of the United States, higher than pre-COVID violent crime levels. Poverty that we see, right? People fleeing the city. These are the results. At what point do the Democrats ever, at what point does the left ever take accountability? It's this simple. The results of Chicago, the results of Detroit, the results of San Francisco, the results of Los Angeles. In what world can you blame that on Donald Trump? That's what they're doing. Who's been in charge? Do you like the results? Okay, the solution is maybe try a different direction in all facets. I know it's complicated, but that's been Claim Truth. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, you can click around and watch one of these videos on YouTube, or head on over to Rumble and subscribe, where I am live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Live on Rumble. YouTube is dead. Rumble did it. And on Rumble, you can say